I've spent the
41
last
years
35
cutting
years
hair,
driving a
and I can
specific
tell you
route to the
exactly
grocery
how many
store
strokes it takes
that
to
takes me
taper a
past
neck.
the old Greyhound
47.
station. I still
Not
do it,
48,
even though the
not
store actually
46.
moved across town
If you do
back in
48, you're showing
2008.
off. 46, and you're lazy. I know this because I counted every single stroke my son, Nicky,
made for 12 years, and I never told him he got it right once. Not one time. My name is Dale Stavros, and I'm 84 years old. I suppose I'm telling you this because I'm looking at the end of the ledger now, counting out my blood pressure pills. They're $14.62 a month, by the way, every month. And the math of my life just doesn't add up the way I thought it would. You know that feeling when you think you're building something but you're actually just digging a hole? Listen, I need you to hear me on this. I'm a retired barber. I've lived in this same ranch house with the faux wood paneling since the Nixon administration. It smells like mothballs and peppermint in here. And most days, the only person I talk to is my wife, Arlene, through notes we leave on the kitchen calendar. Doctor at 10, need milk. That's the extent of it. I'm sitting here now, and my right thumb has this permanent callus. It's thick, like a piece of tire tread. That's from 41 years of holding the Oster Classic 76 clippers. Heavy things. They leave a mark on you. And I think I left a mark on Nicky that's a lot worse than a callus. I'm 84. Mortality isn't a concept anymore. It's the guy sitting in the chair across from me. And before I go, I have to settle the account. The thing is, I thought I was teaching him. That's the lie I told myself starting in 1988, the first day Nicky picked up a pair of shears in my shop. I told myself I was protecting the Stavros name. I told myself I was making sure he'd always have a full book and good tips. But the truth? The truth is, I was being the line for him. I didn't let him find his own rhythm. I stood over him, reaching over his shoulder, moving his comb 1/8 of an inch to the left. Just 1/8. You probably think that's nothing. But you do that for 12 years and the other person stops feeling their own hands. From 1988 to 2000, that was our life. Every Tuesday through Saturday, I'd stand behind him. If he was doing a taper, I'd wait until he was 90% done. He'd be feeling good, maybe whistling a bit. And I'd step in. Give him here, Nicky, I'd say. Let me just tidy up these edges. You missed a spot near the ear. I'd take the clippers right out of his hand. I never let him finish. I thought I was ensuring perfection. I thought I was a mentor, like my father Gus was to me back in '71. Gus. He was the same way. I remember in 1971, I bought these new thinning shears. Real nice. And he wouldn't let me use them on a customer. Not once. He passed in 1987, and I thought I'd learned the value of standards from him. I didn't realize I just learned how to hold a leash. I still do this thing, you know. Arlene sets the table for dinner, and as soon as she walks away, I reach out and adjust the fork. I move it until it's perfectly parallel to the knife. I can't help it. My body just does it. It's a habit from the shop. I have this clipper lean too. My right shoulder sits lower than my left. I'm perpetually tilting toward a ghost. I even stopped playing rummy with the guys at the senior center because I couldn't stand the way they shuffled the cards. It felt messy, dolt, right here in my chest. Anyway, in October of 1996, I remember it was cold that morning. Nicky came in with this trade magazine. He wanted to try a flat top technique. Something new. Wadi. I just laughed. I told him it was a fad for idiots. I didn't even look at the instructions. I made him sweep the floor for the rest of the shift. I told myself I was teaching him focus, but I was just making sure he knew who the boss was. You see, Nicky's 56 now. He works in a distribution warehouse. He drives a forklift. He wears a meshback cap from a radiator shop. He quit the trade when he was 34, back in 2000. He told me he wanted a job where nobody watched his hands. I told myself it was just a phase. I still half believe that, even though it's been 26 years. I tell Arlene, he'll come back to the chair when he's ready for real work. But he won't. I know he won't. Here's the part that gets me. The moment I realized the hole I dug. It was a humid Tuesday in July 2004. 22 years ago. I was 62 years old, and I was driving Nicky to the Sears hardware department in my 2001 Buick LeSabre. We were going to look at some tools. I don't even remember what. It was 3:22 p.m. I know that because the clock on the dash was always 3 minutes fast and it said 3:25. Nicky was talking about work. He was telling me his boss had given him a new route for the forklift, through the south bay of the warehouse, and without even thinking, it was like a reflex. I started telling him how he should have handled the loading dock. You gotta turn left there, Nicky. Not right. The sweep is wider. And Nicky, he just stopped. He looked out the window. There was a dead squirrel on the shoulder of Route 42. Just a gray lump. And in this flat, exhausted voice, the kind of voice that sounds like a person who's already given up, he said. Only 11 words. But they hit me like a bag of wet sand. I didn't say anything. I kept both hands at 10 and 2 on the wheel. I just stared at a green road sign I'd already passed. My left eyelid started to twitch. It's this rhythmic tiny jump. I tried to rub it away, but it wouldn't stop. I pulled into the Sears parking lot. I put the car in park. It made this loud clack, and I spent 45 seconds digging through the glove box. I told myself I was looking for a coupon. I knew there wasn't a coupon. I just couldn't look at him. I went home. We bought a wrench or something. I don't know. We went home. Arlene had made dinner. Dinty more beef stew from the can, and some white bread. We ate. I watched the news. I went to bed at 9:30 p.m., like I always do. I didn't cry. I didn't apologize. I just lived my life. For weeks, I acted like he'd never said it. But that line, it sat in me, like I'd swallowed a handful of nickels, and they were just sitting at the bottom of my stomach, cold and heavy. Maybe I'm not explaining this right, but after that, I started noticing things. I'd see Arlene in the kitchen, and I'd see her mouth the words just say yes to Nicky when I wasn't supposed to be looking. Like I was some kind of weather pattern they had to navigate around. I almost fixed it once. This is the part that's hard to say. In 1991, long before the car ride, I had this brochure in my pocket. It was for a week-long styling course in Chicago. Cost $215. I was going to give it to Nicky. I was going to tell him to go, learn something I didn't know, find his own way. But that afternoon, he dropped a comb on the floor. Just a plastic comb. And I thought to myself, he's not ready for Chicago if he can't even hold a comb. I threw the brochure in the trash behind the Dunkin' Donuts that night. I told myself I was being a good father by not setting him up to fail. The truth came to me through a man named Seamus O'Malley. He was my younger brother, Dutch. He'd changed his name and moved away years ago, but he was a football coach down in Florida. I used to think Seamus was a disaster. He was a hard nose, always red in the face. He had the tip of his left pinky missing from some accident. In 1992, he got forced out because he made a kid run laps until he puked because his cleats weren't laced right. I used to judge Seamus. I'd get his annual postcard from his trailer in Ocalite. He'd just write his blood sugar numbers on it, nothing else. And I'd think, at least I was helpful. At least I was calm. But then I realized we were doing the same thing. He controlled their breath, and I controlled Nikki's hands. We both used the word teacher so we wouldn't have to admit we were just terrified of not being the expert anymore. Seamus is 78 now, alone, and spends $8.40 every day on lottery tickets. That's the outcome of being the only one who knows the right way. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand something. Helping someone too much? It's just a slow way of telling them they're useless. I used teaching as a leash because I was scared that if Nicky became his own man, he wouldn't need a father. And now, at 84, I have a son who comes over for exactly 45 minutes every Sunday, from 4:00 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. And we talk about the price of 87 octane gasoline at the Citgo. We don't talk about the shop. We don't talk about hair. The smell of Blue Pinot Clubman aftershave. You know that smell. That powdery, cheap scent. Every time a man walks past me in the grocery store wearing that, my right hand clenches into a fist. I'm 84 and I'm still trying to grab a pair of shears that aren't there. Last month, I saw Nicky in his garage. He was cutting his own son's hair. My grandson. He was using a pair of $12 plastic-handled kitchen scissors. Kitchen scissors. Pop. It was a mess. The taper was all wrong, and I felt that humming in my collarbone, that unnamed vibration that starts when I want to fix things. I almost stepped in. I almost said, "Give 'em here, Nicky. Listen, I want you to do something this week. I want you to call your child, or your parent, or whoever it is you've been guiding a little too hard. Don't ask about their day. Don't ask about the weather. Just say this: there's going to be a silence. It'll probably last about 4 seconds and it's going to feel like a year. Let it. Don't fill it. Then say, I'm going to stop now, and hang up. I'm telling you to do this thing I still can't do myself. I haven't told Nicky. I haven't said the words. I'm 84. And I'm still afraid that if I admit I was a control freak, I'll have to admit I was my father's puppet for 41 years too. Knowing and doing. They're different things. I'm just a man in a ranch house with mothballs and a twitching eyelid. There's this neighbor's AC unit. Every day at 2:14 p.m., it kicks on. It makes this high-pitched whistling sound, like a tea kettle. It drives me crazy. I want to go over there with a screwdriver and fix it. I want to tell him his bearings are shot. But I just sit here. I just listen to it whistle. I have these razors. Double Duck Goldage straight razors. They're in a burgundy case that's faded to the color of a scab. I keep them in the linen closet behind the yellow towels. There's a notch in one of the blades from 1968. When I touch the case, it makes a dry, sticking sound, like skin pulling off a plastic chair in the July heat. It smells like machine oil. I wrote a note the other day. I didn't put it on the calendar for Arlene. I just wrote it on a scrap of paper and tucked it inside that razor case. It says, Nicky, I should have let you drop the comb. I should have let you drop all of them. I haven't sent it. I probably won't. I just fold it up and put it back in the closet. Maybe he'll find it when I'm gone. Or maybe he'll just throw the whole case in the trash because he doesn't want to touch anything I touched. I'm going to sit here now. It's 3:00 in the morning. I don't sleep much anymore. The house is so quiet, I can hear the refrigerator hum in the kitchen. And then at 3:11 a.m., every night, like clockwork, the ice maker drops a single, jagged cube into the plastic bin. It makes this sharp, lonely clack that rings out through the hallway. I just lie here in the dark, and I count the seconds until the next one falls.